And another good morning to you as well, and happy Tuesday on this episode 49 for DMS 3000 News Live on this September 5th, 2023. I'm your host and moderator of this great show, Jason DeCanio, and of course, we hope you had a fantastic Labor Day weekend and a Labor Day holiday as well, because we had some fantastic programs that graced you with its presence. Yes, fortunately for all of us, we were very happy with the results of the views of the first premieres of shows that you never saw before, shows that came back in the fall lineup. And I'm just impressed with the tremendous support we have gotten from everybody as far as, the launch of the new schedule. So I'm very happy about that. And I know David St. Dennis is happy about that too, because he's looking at the numbers as well. We're all looking at numbers, but we're all looking at figures, and we're all saying to ourselves, it's going to be a great 7 months. Yes, it is. Speaking of which, today, episode 49 comes at you with another great look at 3 great topics of interest that might spark your fancy today. Yeah, we have a lot of great stuff for you, and the first one I think is a really interesting one for all you He-Man fans out there. And we on Jay's Retro Toys and Games, we're talking about that right now. We're doing a whole week's worth of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, because today marks the 40th anniversary of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe cartoon series. That's right, the first cartoon ever to be aired for a He-Man show was today, 40 years ago, on Channel 5, WNYE, or NYW, Channel 5. And I think it was at 4 o'clock. Maybe it was earlier, but that 4 o'clock spot later on, it grew for the afternoon show. And I thought that was a fantastic time for He-Man, even though I didn't watch all of it because I had homework to do. But I thought 4 o'clock was a good time. If you weren't doing anything at that time, getting ready for dinner, about half an hour before dinner, this was your chance to get a good cartoon in. And because of that, we'll look at the cartoon series itself, focus on just that and just that alone, and have a lot of people to thank and give you a great history about it. Then up later, we're going to look at the 77th birthday to the former lead singer of Queen, Freddie Mercury. He passed away back in over in 2000, but he had a fantastic life, and today he's celebrating 77 years of his birthday, if he was still alive today. So we're going to tribute Freddie Mercury, the former lead singer of Queen, look at his fantastic tribute and give you a great story about him later on in the program. Then we have an essay on time management. If you're the kind of person who doesn't know how to balance time and put it all into perspective, well, we got a fantastic essay that we're going to share with you later on, and hopefully that'll give you some great inspiration. Take some notes, because you might learn something on this. Essays are very interesting. The commentaries are fantastic. So we hope that you will enjoy this essay on this particular topic. Okay. Plus, we also have What Day Is Today, the headlines, sports, and other important information, and our editorial at the end of the program. But right now, we're going to go to, of course, headlines, sports, and other important information to start off with. It is an NPR day. That's right. And we make it an NPR day every day. That's where we get all of our headlines from. So I'm going to go ahead and put the ad blocker up. Okay. And all of our headlines today are from the 5th of September, 2023. Ex-Proud Boys leader Enrique Tarrio faces lengthy prison sentence for January 6th riot. Prosecutors want Tarrio to be sentenced to 33 years in prison for his role in conspiring with his Proud Boys lieutenants to keep former President Donald Trump in power. Yeah. So, wow, they're really asking a lot, as they say. How I learned that creativity and vulnerability go hand in hand. I often call Julia Cameron the luminary behind The Artist's Way, my fairy godmother. Her philosophy has helped me understand that the ability to be artistic comes more naturally than one would think. In her book on the 30th anniversary edition, The Artist's Way, A Spiritual Path to Higher Creativity, Julia Cameron delves in to that higher path to higher creativity. An Australian woman who fell ill at a remote Antarctic base is rescued, authorities say. The man who fell ill is expected to arrive in Australia next week. Until then, he will be cared for in an Icebreakers specially equipped medical facility. And who is Ruby Frank? What to know about the mommy vlogger accused of child abuse? For years, the Utah YouTube star sparked criticism for her parenting tactics. She was arrested this week after her malnourished son escaped out a window and ran to a nearby home, police said. And Splashdown as NASA's Crew 6 returns after 6 months at the International Space Station. The 4-member crew, 3 astronauts and a cosmonaut, launched in March and conducted more than 200 experiments. They also performed spacewalks and did maintenance on the orbiting outpost. The outpost. Wow. And Turkey has failed to persuade Russia to rejoin the Ukraine grain deal. In talks in Sochi, Russia, President Vladimir Putin rejected efforts by Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan to revive a United Nations-backed deal to allow the safe passage of grain from Ukraine. One thing about Vladimir Putin, folks, this guy doesn't seem to smile, he doesn't seem to care, and he sure has no heart in his body nor brain in his head. That's all I'm going to say. Shipwreck hunters discover a schooner's 142-year-old remains in Lake Michigan. Built in 1867, the Trinidad was plagued with structural issues and sank nearly a century and a half ago. Historians intend to nominate it for inclusion on the National Register of Historic Places. And Ernest Hemingway survived 2 plane crashes. His letter about them sells for $237,055. Yes, the novelist and his wife survived successful crashes in Uganda in 1954. In the letter, Hemingway also describes shooting his first lion in Kenya with an old gun held together with tape. And Jimmy Buffett died, of course, of a rare skin cancer. Merkel cell carcinoma has a high risk of recurring and metastaticizing, according to the Skin Cancer Foundation. About 3,000 new cases are diagnosed in the U.S. each year. Prescriptions for fresh fruits and vegetables help boost heart health, and people with diet-related diseases show health improvements when they're given prescription produce. A new study shows reductions in blood sugar and blood pressure. They're the key measures of heart health. And is it illegal to forage for fruits on city streets? In Virginia, it's murky. There are apps and websites that track and map fruit trees in cities across the country. The site Falling Fruit, for instance, helps urban foragers track harvests and leave notes on their quality. And the illustrator for A Wrinkle in Time gets a long overdue credit. Yes, finding the artist behind the 1976 Dell Laurel Leaf paperback edition of A Wrinkle in Time proved more challenging than Sarah Elizabeth expected. You know, the Madeline Engel book that we had to read in school. Very interesting book. And whatever happened to this cartoonist's grandmother in Wuhan? She's 16 going on 83. Yes, in 2020, Laura Gao hoped to visit her birthplace, Wuhan, to see her grandparents. COVID caused her to cancel. How have Grandma and Grandpa fared? She says she's walking backward toward the sun. And finally, how to make a meaningful connection with a work of art? Well, art professionals explain how to look at paintings and sculptures like an expert and how to make the most out of a museum visit. This original episode was published on January 10th, and of course, you can listen to it. We've got more news coming up later on. Well, we'll see, actually. Well, yeah. Okay, so we looked at that one. Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, pretty much. Oh, wow. Here's an interesting article I didn't know. Steve Harwell, the former lead singer of Smash Mouth, has died at 56. The singer of such hits as Walking on the Sun and All Star died of acute liver failure in his home in Boise, Idaho. Oh, wow. A Gabon military coup leader is sworn in as an interim president, promising elections. General Bryce Oligui Nguema, leader of a coup in Gabon last week, has been sworn in as an interim president, while the deposed former president remains detained at his residence. And up first briefing, a Labor Day look at union fights, wins, and close calls. It's Labor Day in the U.S., striking waters, and actors have brought Hollywood to a standstill. There's widespread support for unions, especially among Gen Z, and yet membership is at an all-time low. More small airports are being cut off from their air travel network, and this is why. The pilot shortage and changing economics are to blame for legacy airlines departing regional airports. And robots are pouring drinks in Vegas as AI grows. The city workers brace for change. Workers in Las Vegas have been watching automation and technology inch into their workplace. Now with AI, the city is preparing to adapt its service-heavy tourism economy. And I think we've touched base on a lot of everything from yesterday's headlines. So that is a look at today's headlines for September 5th, 2023 on episode 49 of DMS 3000 News Live. All right, let's go now to baseball. And wouldn't you believe it, even there on Labor Day, they're playing baseball, folks. Yeah, they're playing ball. And yesterday we talked about the post brackets and everything. Today, let's see what's the latest news right now. We did the postseason watch bracket, tiebreakers, and more. Nothing that would interest me, but I'll tell you right now. What will interest you is that on this Thursday's edition of the Dugout Crew, the crew is going to be looking at September and how it's going to really play out in the next coming weeks as we lead up to October's playoffs. The picture, hopefully, they'll cover all the potential matchups like we talked about yesterday and give you a lowdown of that. We'll see what happens as they look forward to another great episode of the Dugout Crew, 3 o'clock Eastern on Thursday afternoon. All right, now let's look at the scores. There were some big ones and a lot of upsets too. Remember I told you yesterday that there was going to be a lot of spoiler teams? Yep. Well, you'd be right about that. Because the Royals and the White Sox are playing each other, and wouldn't you know it, the Royals came out on top and had a slugfest with the White Sox. They beat them 12-1 to go to 43-96. Actually, they're really improving themselves over the course of the last 3 weeks. They have won some pretty interesting matchups, spoilers, and they played the bottom feeder pretty well, as the White Sox really don't have anything much to go for this year either. So they lose 12-1 over the White Sox lose to the Royals 12-1. And I guess in this case, you could just say it was one of those games where the Royals got the better end of the bat, you know? And the Cubs, wouldn't you know it, the Cubbies shut out the Giants and remain behind the Brewers by 2.5 to go to 74-64. They are 10 games over 500. They shut out the Giants 5-0. They get the win. And the important thing is that they maintain some distance in the wild card as well. But they're trying to get the division from the Brewers, and they're only 2.5 back. And we're going to talk about that with Snowman and the guys. Hopefully at 11 o'clock we can get in there and talk some baseball with these guys. I have a lot to say about that. Not just about the Mets, but I got a lot of stuff to say about who's playing spoiler and who's not, And the Astros, well, they just did some more damage to the Rangers. That's why they are the defending champions. Now they beat them up 13-6 to go to 78-61, 2 games ahead of the Rangers, but still trying to battle with the Mariners right now in the AL West. And that AL West, I said it before, tight race between 3 teams. It's coming down to the final week in September before the October playoffs. Astros get the better of the Rangers 13-6 in that score last night. The Blue Jays, they kicked the Athletics to the curb again, but the Athletics actually, like I said, were just the same way with the Royals. They're trying to get out of being the worst team in baseball right now, but the Blue Jays got the upper hand. They beat them 6-5 to try to continue to fight against the Orioles and the Rays. The Blue Jays are trying every bit as they can to not only make a wild card, but try to make an attempt for the division. Good luck to them if they can get there. The D-backs, well, they needed a win mightily, and they got it yesterday. 4-2 against the Rockies, as the Rockies really aren't playing for much, but the D-backs needed every win possible because right now they're fighting with the Giants and the Dodgers. And right now the Giants ain't doing any fair things, and the D-backs, like we said, have continued to just drop so many games that the Dodgers know just how to pull away with that. And speaking of the Mariners, well, they don't really show up for this game last night as the Reds take the game 6-3, putting the Mariners in a position now, like I said before, with the AL West, it's going back and forth. The Reds take the game 6-3, go to 72-68, 3 games over 500. They needed that win just as much as the Mariners did. It was a fight for who was going to get that win. The Reds come out 3 runs ahead of them, beat them up 6-3. And we'll look at the division standings in just a minute here. The Red Sox, they take care of the Rays 7-3. Good going, Bo Sox. You guys are now playing spoiler to a team that literally is fighting for the division with the Orioles. And with the Rays losing and going to 83-55, what are the Orioles to do? Well, they're coming down in a little bit here. We'll see what they did. But look at this game that's coming up here next. The Twins and the Guardians. By the way, the both Sox won that game 7-3, if you're interested. And I know David is because he's looking at that game like we needed that win every bit. Well, look at this game, folks. The Twins and the Guardians. Minnesota, what is going on with these guys? These guys are just like coasting in the AL Central right now. They beat up on the Guardians 20-6. 20-6. This was like a football game. A football game, folks. Yep. The important thing is that the Twins remain on top of the Central Division, where really that Central Division has nothing going for it right now. We say it's the AL Comedy Central, it's the NL Comedy Central, that kind of thing. The Central Divisions for both the AL and the NL just really don't seem to have any kind of thing going right now. But the AL Central just looks so weak that even the Red Sox at 72-66 have the same identical record as the Twins, although because the Red Sox are in a tougher division, they are in 4th place. They could have been tied with the Twins had they been in the Central Division. And we all can agree records do show where a team can actually do better. I say next year, the Red Sox should go to the Central Division to have a chance to at least bounce out the team a little bit, or the division. Agree or disagree? I'm going to bring that up at Snowman's conference today at 11 o'clock. So we'll see what happens. Pirates over the Brewers 4-2 as the Pirates are smoking them Brewers. Boy, oh boy, Brewers still maintain the lead, even though the Cubbies and the Reds are trying to battle it out. The Brewers still are holding their own, but they lost, which means now the gap is down even more. Pirates spoil the Brewers, and win the game 4-2. It was the Phillies over the Padres 9-7, and this final came in last night just when it really needed to. The Orioles, they beat the Angels 6-3. The Baby Birds did it again, and they put 3 full games now on the Rays because of the loss with the Rays, as the Orioles go to 86-51. They're 4 games away from hitting the 90 mark. Can they do it? I believe so. And now let's look at those great standings to get you into another thought process here. Okay? So take everything that we have, look at the standings. In fact, I think what we're going to do is we're going to share these standings with you. Let's go ahead and do that right now. We'll share the screen so that you can see it as well, because a lot of people say, I want to see the standings too. Okay, you can see it. I'm gonna put the baseball standings over here on my other screen so I can, of course, scroll down with you. Okay, and then I'm gonna full screen this. Vroom. Okay. Let me do something real quick here first. Let me take off the banner, because the banner is what's blocking. Okay. It's blocking me, actually. All right, so let's look at this right now. This is the standings as of today. Okay, if you look at it very carefully, Baltimore 86-51. They're on a 7-3 last 10 games, a 3-game winning streak. They're playing the Angels again tonight at LA on the road. Very important. Their road record right now is 44-25. That right now is not as good as the Tampa Bay's. Well, I wouldn't say. Let me see. No, it is the best road record right now. I'm sorry. Yes, it is the best road record for any team in the AL right now. But their home record, the Baltimore Orioles, are only 42-26, where the Rays have a better record than them at home. But you would have thought that a long time ago when the Rays were on that hot streak at the beginning of the season. 86-51, they lead it all. Can't touch the baby Bluebirds. Tampa Bay's trying their hardest, 83-55, 3.5 back. Still 6.5 over everybody on the wild card. So really, that's just something you're going to have to accept. The fact that these guys, if they can't win the division, they're going to be in the wild card, and a contender at that for sure. For sure. Toronto Blue Jays, like I said before, winning games. They've 2-game winning streak. 76-62, 10.5 back, because right now the Baltimore team is just flying away. 15 games for elimination if they can't get there, but they're a half a game back in the wild card. And like I said, they're playing Oakland right now. So that's an important game for them, is to play the Athletics. But the Athletics, if they keep playing spoiler, they're going to make Toronto slip right down in the ratings, in the rankings, and in the standings. So we'll see what happens. Boston 72-66, 14.5 back, 4.5 back in the wild card. These guys have a chance, and I hate to say it as a Mets fan, but Boston Red Sox have a strong chance to get a wild card spot. How they can do it? Keep winning. You're on a 3-game winning streak, boys. Go for it. And you're playing Tampa Bay starting tonight in Tampa Bay. So that's very important for you guys. Got to win. Yankees 68-69, 18 games back, 8 games back. They still have a chance at the wild card as well, too. Now, they're on a 3-game winning streak. The only one who really didn't have any kind of a streak right now is Tampa Bay. They've lost one. Everybody else is winning. So that's why Tampa Bay's kind of slipped in the division a little bit. Not too much, but, like I said. Here we go. AL Central. This is where I believe you take out one team, put another team in here, and you actually have a closer division than you think. You take the Pro Sox, put them in the AL Central, and I believe they can contend with Minnesota and Cleveland, possibly Detroit, I know they're on the northeast, the east. I understand that, but who cares? They're in a tough division, and they deserve to be in a better division. Okay, but maybe because of the fact that they're in that tough division, they play harder. I don't know. But if you look at Minnesota's record of 72-66, folks, Bo Sox would have been tied with them had they been in the AL Central. We can all agree with that. I know. But the Minnesota's got the division right now in the AL Central, the AL Comedy Central, as I like to call it, because that division really is not really making any closeness right now. But Minnesota is playing Cleveland at Cleveland tonight. So that's going to be interesting to see if Cleveland can play spoiler, because the Guardians are 66-72, 6 games back, 10.5 back in the wild card. They're on the 2-game losing streak. Detroit 63-74, 8.5 back, 13 back in the wild card, but winners of 4. Could they possibly do it? I say anybody who's got less than 15 games left in the wild card back might have a chance, because we're still early in September, and there is 30 days in September, and there's about 25 games left, I believe. So I think with that, we're getting close. The White Sox, 6 games before they get eliminated, they're 53-85, 19 games back, 23.5 back in the wild card. Forget about it. You guys, this year, the Chicago White Sox shown once again that they just are playing for fun, but they can be a spoiler. They are playing the Kansas City Royals, of which the Royals beat them. So Chicago White Sox losers of 4 straight and go into Kansas City tonight, where Kansas City is 43-96, 29.5 back, 34 back in the wild card. They are officially eliminated from any contentional playoff spot. But right now, like I said before, they can play spoiler and do a lot of damage. Now, look at this AL West, folks. This is where the meat and bones, the AL East, the AL West, two divisions that really, really are up for grabs. And I mean up for grabs. You know what I mean? Seattle right now has taken it to the extreme. Even though they're on a 2-game losing streak, 77-60, they hold the division. But they're playing Cincinnati, and Cincinnati has taken them to the bank. Houston, 78-61, tied with Seattle for the division. 1 game ahead in the wild card. They're on the 1-game winning streak, and they're playing Texas, where Texas is 76-61, 1 game back, and no games back in the wild card because they've got a wild card spot. LA Angels, 64-74, 13.5 back, 12.5 back, losers of 4 straight, playing Baltimore. That could be any worse for the LA Angels right now when they were trying to get hot? No, they cooled off very much. Oakland, 42-96, eliminated from any kind of playoff contention. 35.5 games back, 34 back in the wild card. Playing Toronto right now in their 3-game series. Now we go to the NL East. And, folks, look at what you got here. You got the Atlanta Braves just doing what they do best. And they didn't even have to play last night. Everybody else had to play. And still, the division got a little bit shuffled. You know what I mean? So they're starting their 3-game series with the St. Louis Cardinals tonight, the Braves. 90-46. Well, you know what you see up there. 8-2 on their last 10 games. They're on a losing streak, actually. So if the rest of the division can get going here and start winning, especially the Mets, because the Mets and the Nationals are playing each other starting tonight on a 3-game series where the Mets go to Washington to try to keep themselves out of the cellar. We'll see what happens. Phillies, 76-61, 14.5 back, but they're still 5.5 up on the wild card, and any chance for them to get that first wild card spot's going to be very important right now. They have it 5.5 plus. Miami 70-67, 20.5 back. Half a game back in the wild card spot. Winners of 4 playing the Dodgers in the 3-game series. Really shocking that, what they're doing right now. They're taking a 4-game winning streak into Miami tonight to play the Dodgers. Good luck to them. See if they can take some games away from the Dodgers and try to gain ground on Philadelphia. Mets 63-74, eliminated from any playoff competition here. 27.5 back, 7.5 in the wild card. I keep saying to myself, is there a light at the end of the tunnel? Maybe. I don't know. They open up a 3-game series against the Nationals tonight in Washington, where the lowly Nationals are 62-76, 29 games back, 9 games back in the wild card, eliminated from any kind of, that's sad, but unfortunately true. Yep. The E means that they are eliminated. Okay. So unfortunately with that, you can't, let me see what that, I was trying to see what that E was. Yeah. Okay. E is the elimination number. The values are mathematical calculations and do not take tiebreakers or remaining schedules into account. Thanks for letting me know that. All right. The NL Comedy Central now is even tighter than it was before, folks. Milwaukee 76-61, losers of 2 straight, facing the Pittsburgh Pirates. And here is the team right now that can really go and control their own destiny. The Chicago Cubs, 74-64, 10 games over 500, 2.5 back in the division, 3 games up on the wild card, a 2-game winning streak, 7-3 in their last 10, playing the Giants. And right now, this is an important game series for the Cubs because it's going to make the Brewers really cringe if they can't win and Chicago comes in there and just dominates. It's only 2 games, 2.5 games separating the division. We'll see what happens. Cincinnati, 72-68, 5.5 back. Although it should more or less be 4.5 back considering Milwaukee lost and Cincinnati won. But Cincinnati does have a wild card spot. There are no games back in the wild card. They have a second wild card, so they're in it for a wild card, but they're on the possible road to a path could go to the division. The division is still open, folks. We'll see what happens. Pittsburgh 64-74, spoiling the crap out of the Milwaukee Brewers right now with a 1-game winning streak, but 12.5 back in the division, 7 games back in the wild card. And St. Louis, well, the Cardinals, they're playing spoiler, and they got to play the Braves in Atlanta. So, to all those St. Louis Cardinals fans who don't think you don't play spoiler tonight, think again, you do. Because if you can take 3 games from the Braves and the Mets and everybody else in that division can win, it's going to narrow the gap even more. And Philly is just going to just continue to dominate itself as a wild card team and maybe trim those games down a little bit more. St. Louis, you got your hands full. We wish you the best luck on your 3-game series against the Atlanta Braves. And finally, folks, we've got the NL West with the Dodgers. Just, the LA Dodgers, these guys can sit there all day and not play, and still everybody else in that division just cannot win, except maybe Arizona. That's about it. 84-52, 1-game winning streak, starting his 3-game series with the Miami Marlins tonight. Can Miami control their own destination? They've got a tough road ahead with the LA Dodgers. Arizona 71-67, 14 games back. These guys control their own destination as well, too. They have a wild card spot right now. No games. I think they have the 3rd wild card spot, if I'm not mistaken. So we talked about this on Snowman Show 3 weeks ago, and we're going to talk about it again tonight, how Arizona went cold for 3 weeks, now is getting hot again, but is it too late? Only time will tell. We'll get his opinion at 11 o'clock. That should be very interesting. San Francisco, 70-68, 15 games back, 1 game back in the wild card to try to get the wild card. But again, they're on a 4-game, folks. If there's anybody out there, any team out there that's doing damage, it is the Chicago Cubs. I know as much as you know that there are diehard Cub fans out there that say, man, we are just taking it to the streets. And then there are haters out there that say, holy cow, look at this team coming back in the barracks and working their way up. And it took them all summer to do that, folks. It took them all summer, and it's paying off. Padres, 65-74, 20.5 back, 6.5 back in the wild card. They're playing the Phillies tonight in Philadelphia. Rockies, well, they're eliminated. 58-87, 34.5 back in the division, 20.5 back in the wild card. Losers of 2. They're playing Arizona. So again, the Rockies have a chance to spoil Arizona's chances of trying to maintain that wild card spot. So it's up to you guys in Arizona right now to do the damage and continue your winning streak. All right? That's the idea. And, of course, that's the end of the sports here for today. So what's going to happen? I'll tell you what's going to happen. Look at it this way, folks. We'll talk more about this as we get to Snowman in the Morning at 11 o'clock. Lots to talk about. It's do or die time for all of those teams. And like they said in September, it's the September sweeps. It's the dog days of baseball, and we're there. We're going to be right back. And when we do come back, we're going to look at what day is today. And then, of course, the big article, the 40th anniversary of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe cartoon series. All good stuff coming up when we come back right after this.
Here comes the one, the delicious one. Heinz is the big rich one. There's only one ketchup with this flavor pouring on. So thick, so rich, so second to none.
Only one ketchup stands for this kind of thickness with this kind of taste. Heinz.
Heinz is the big rich one.
Ketchup lovers, now try Heinz in the 64-ounce plastic bottle.
Okay, Jonathan, we're sending you back in time.
Before television, radio, even before soft drinks. Careful. Anything you do could change history.
Mum's the word.
Activate time travel mode to the year 1885.
He's there.
Hey, where's my Pepsi?
Oh, no. He took it.
Relax, Smith. What could 12 ounces of Pepsi possibly change?
Yeah, what could happen?
Pepsi, the choice of a new generation.
Do you wanna dance? Hold my hand.
Now there's a car that just asks to be driven.
You're my lover man. Oh, baby.
Mercury is bringing a sophisticated new shape to the American road. Introducing Sable. Mercury, the shape you want to be in.
Victoria.
But they finally found a substitute for the sweet roll.
Nutri-Grain's new almond raisins.
What is it, nuts and twigs?
Try almond raisins and these great new flakes made with brown rice.
But there's no sugar added. Irv, you're going to love the taste, even though it's healthy. Hey, don't you have a story to write? How's this? Man eats healthy food and lives.
The amazing taste of Nutri-Grain's new almond raisin. It's news.
It's fun getting to the bottom of one. It's fun getting to the bottom of one. White Mountain Cooler. Keeping it light. Cooler. Crisp and refreshing. It's got the taste that's always right. It's fun getting to the bottom of one.
Original and new orange. Time for a credit card that gives you a better deal.
The Discover card.
With the new Discover card, you don't have to pay an annual fee. In fact, we pay you with money back on everything you buy. Money you can apply against your balance.
Way to find that right tomorrow. The Discover card puts money in a whole new life.
From a member of Sears Financial Network. Look for more information in the mail or in national magazines.
Welcome back to DMS 3000 News Live. It's episode 49 here on this Tuesday, September 5th, 2023. Hope you're having a fantastic Tuesday morning. Hope you're having a fantastic week in general, because this is the first week of what I like to call the fall months. I mean, I know down here in hot Florida, we're still celebrating summer months, and we're not probably going to get our cooler weather until probably mid-September, maybe early October. But whatever the case is we always get an extra summer break. And I'm not sure why, even though the school kids are back to school and everything. This week, the school kids start school tomorrow. They go for 3 half days, and then they pick up on a full week of school. And what we're going to do next week is on, I think, either Monday or Tuesday, we're going to talk about how to prepare for another school year. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to see the old Mr. Rogers Neighborhood episodes of Going to School always come on right before the new school season, school year starts. That way kids are not intimidated nor scared to go to school on their own, especially if they're starting kindergarten and all that good stuff, the new, the first grade or something of that sort. I think it's important to bring that specific classic episode. You can find those episodes of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. You can find them. I think there's a website called the Internet Archive. Look it up. I'm already looked up, and I'm on season 2 on episode 1051. So I'm looking at back episodes from 1969, folks. People say, what do you do when you're not recording a show and everything? Well, I'm looking at other stuff. I'm researching. I'm looking at articles and information that could be very important for a show. And of course, I'm the owner of 3 YouTube channels myself. So at this point in the game, even though I'm on the computer and it might look like I'm doing nothing, I'm actually gathering up information and getting it ready for another event or show that needs to be ready to record. But in the meantime, let's get back here because we have a lot to cover still. But we got to go to what day is today. And boy, did I find one of the fun things I like about what day is today. And I'm going to share it with you on the screen here. I think this is fantastic. It's National Cheese Pizza Day. Yes, National Cheese Pizza Day. And I'm going to share the screen with you real quick. Here we go. And you can follow along with me. Woo! There we go. I'm going to put this up on the... Whoops. I'll get this right eventually. You guys can read along with me because, like I said, all of our information comes from this. And I just read it off there for verbatim. And we just go by it. So hold the toppings, please. National Cheese Pizza Day is celebrated annually on September 5th. And it's time for you to celebrate in cheese pizza style. Yes, we all love the classics like pepperoni, pizza with pineapple, barbecue chicken pizza, or juicy meat lovers. But nothing surpasses the basics of holding a gently folded single slice of melty deliciousness, the cheese pizza. And each year, more than 2 billion pounds of cheese pizza is produced in the United States alone. So on this special day, savor a classic slice of ooey gooey cheese pizza for yourself and share a slice or two with some of your very best friends. So you may be familiar with National Pizza Day on February 9th. It's an iconic day for everyone to celebrate their favorite pizza dish, but to give special appreciation to the well-loved cheese pizza, National Cheese Pizza Day was born to be celebrated every year on September 5th. Let's be honest, every pizza deserves its own day for love, the margarita, the pepperoni, olive, and mushroom, which is most likely the reason for National Cheese Pizza Day being created. And although the exact creator and birth date are unknown, it's still a day that is widely celebrated and, of course, participated. The beginnings of pizza aren't exactly known either, but many people date it back to ancient Greece when people would cover their bread with oils, herbs, and cheese, and that sounds like a pizza, right? However, the kind of flatbread pizza that is well known now was created in Naples, Italy, and it used the highest quality of buffalo mozzarella to create the origins of the cheese pizza that is loved today. Yum. Eventually, travel and discovery led to pizza making its way to the Western continent. The first pizza establishment in the Western world opened in 1905 in Little Italy in New York. But it wasn't until 1939 that the D'Amore family introduced pizza to Los Angeles, and the dish has officially made it across the country. The popularity of pizza in the U.S. rose dramatically following World War II. Veterans returning from the Italian campaign, who has been introduced to Italy's native cuisine, led the increase in pizza consumption at the time. It was during the second half of the 20th century that pizza became an iconic dish in North America, and it was in 1958 that two men, Dan and Frank Carney, borrowed $600 from their mom and opened the first ever Pizza Hut, Kansas. By the 1960s, they were coming up against some stiff competition and introduced the iconic red thatched roof that we still associate with them today. An organized industry association, the Pizza Industry Council, was even set up with the purpose of addressing issues specific to pizza operators. Today, the pizza industry in the U.S. is worth over $40 billion per year. And cheese pizza has also had an impact on pop culture, with the dish famously being Kevin McAllister's preferred choice in the Home Alone movies, although perhaps nobody loves pizza as much as the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, who became a global phenomenon in the 1990s. Joey Tribbiani, the iconic Friends character, also introduced the Joey Special in the 90s, which consisted of two pizzas. There's no doubting it. Pizza has become a U.S. and Canadian favorite, and cheese pizza is at the heart of it. It's a popular dish at any party or friend gathering, and that's not about to change anytime soon. So here is the timeline for the National Cheese Pizza. Started in 1889 as King Umberto I and Queen Margarita. They visit Naples, and she requests pizza topped with cheese, red tomatoes, and basil. It's still a popular dish in Italy. Now go over to 1905, and the first U.S. documented pizzeria opens. It was called G. Lombardi's in New York, or Guy Lombardi, yeah. And then 1943, the Chicago Deep Dish is born, and it was created by Ike Sewell in a restaurant called Pizzeria Uno in Chicago, and it is forever delicious. And you guys from Chicago know what I'm talking about. When we talk about deep dish pizza, you all say it's better than thin crust. I beg to differ. I'm from New York, and I'll still eat the triangle over it. But I've had deep dish before, and it's called a Pizza Hut pan pizza. Or if you're going to go to Domino's for that matter, there is a Domino's pan pizza. Whatever the case. And if you're from Detroit, you know about Little Caesars. Little Caesars is probably their pan pizza. Very good. Not so good on the Achita, you know what I mean? And the first frozen pizzas available to buy in 1957. They were first released in supermarkets in the U.S., something we're all thankful for. So, National Cheese Pizza around the world, you know, it's one of many food holidays celebrated here. And here's some other popular ones from across the globe. You've got Sweden with the Waffle Day. New Zealand has National Chocolate Fish Day. Ugh. They eat chocolate fish in New Zealand? I wonder how the balance of sweet and salty really do come together. You know what I mean? I don't know. In South Korea, they have Black Days for single people. They celebrate by eating black noodles. Wonder if at least taste, residue on your tongue. National Soup Day in Germany, and in Australia, National Marshmallow Day. All right, now here are the numbers for National Cheese Pizza Day. 3 billion pizzas sold every year in the United States. Folks, that's a lot of pizza. 350 slices of pizza sold every second. And 41% of Americans eating pizza every week. That's including myself. 70,000 pizzerias in the U.S. Probably can't top that. $40 billion is the size of the pizza industry in the U.S. My, how has it grown? 46 is the slices of pizza eaten each year by the average person. I could probably douse a pie myself. 6,600 pizzas in California, more than any other state. I beg to differ. Although California is a big state, they eat their pies a little differently. 59% of adults who prefer pizza as a dinner option. I prefer it as a lunch. 51,000 pounds is the weight of the largest pizza ever made. Holy Kongabunga. 93% of Americans who eat pizza at least once in the next 30 days. I would add myself to that list, so it would be more like 93.5%, give or take. All right. So, what are we going to do today? We're going to have a pizza party. Yes. I don't think we would not have a pizza party if it wasn't for that. In this crazy world, if one thing is certain, it's that everyone loves a slice of hot, steaming pizza. So invite some of your best pizza-loving friends over to celebrate this special holiday. Yes, take advantage of it. And get your hands on the best cheese pizza. They all might be delicious, but one of them has to be the creme de la creme. Maybe New York has it, Chicago. Well, ask your friends and ask your nearby Italian restaurant owner or ask Yelp to start your quest on obtaining that best slice of cheese pizza glory right now. And find a pizza museum near you. Pizza is so good it belongs in a museum. Yeah, you heard it right. The United States Pizza Museum is located in Chicago, and another pizza museum, Pizza Brain, operates in Philadelphia. So see if there's a similar pizza palace or point of pizza interest near you. And here are 5 facts about pizza. Americans order a lot of it. In fact, they order an average of 350 slices per second. Whew. And people prefer thin crust. You see, 61% of the people prefer to order thin crust pizza over thick or deep dish. I think it's a personal preference, folks. When it comes to pizza, and I'm Italian and I ought to know this, and I've been eating pizza for 45 years, my entire life, I can honestly say it just depends on what you're craving on that God-given day. If you want a slice of triangle, or you want a Sicilian slice, or you want a deep dish slice and you want to sit down and eat it, go right ahead. It's all good. It's all pizza. The bottom line is, however you do it, don't change your pizza style for anybody else. You know what I mean? And pizzerias use a lot of cheese. Yes, they purchase more than $4 billion worth of cheese every year. So I tell you right now, the people out there in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, you guys are making more cheese than you could possibly think about. And the cows are pumping more milk than they need to. But here's the thing. Cheese is expensive, and that's why the price of the pizza goes up, because of the price of cheese. Now, if everything started coming down on the prices and inflation wasn't such a big thing, our pizzas would actually go back to $1.25 instead of them being $3.50. Do I still want to pay $3.50 for a slice of pizza? You bet your damn boogie I want to. And I will. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of boxes per day, too. The average pizzeria goes through roughly 55 pizza boxes per day. Yes, folks, the cardboard industry is having fun making those pizza boxes. And for all you DoorDashers out there, including myself, or for whoever works in the gig economy, with Uber Eats and all of that stuff, listen to this. We make more actually off of pizza deliveries when we have pizza bags that we can get free from Flippers. Do you believe this? DoorDash bags are actually available to us at any Flippers pizzeria. So if you happen to be looking for a pizza bag and don't want to spend the $28.50 on the website, go to your local Flippers Pizza and grab yourself at least 2 DoorDash bags, and I guarantee you won't have to give them back because they have plenty to go around, and they know that their drivers are short, so they're going to have DoorDash drivers doing the job for them. I've been one of them and lucky to have 2 pizza bags myself, and I'm more than happy to give my fellow drivers out there a pizza bag to make deliveries. Not bad. Oh, and finally, it can be a breakfast food too. Yes, 36% of people say pizza is the perfect breakfast. Depends on what you put on it. If it's egg-based and scrambled eggs with some cheese and some peppers and onions and some salsa, yeah, it's a breakfast pizza. But if it's a cheese pizza that's been sitting there the night before, I'd rather eat it cold myself. But I wouldn't tackle it for breakfast. I would wait for lunch still to have a cold slice of pizza. That's just my preference there, too. And 3 reasons why we love National Cheese Pizza Day, as if we really couldn't go on and tell you how much more we don't love it. We love it because it's not good or healthy for you. We live in a time when health-conscious food options pop up every day. That's great. Healthy food options certainly have their importance, but sometimes you just want to grab something filled with grease and cheese. Hello, Cheese Pizza. Let me tell you something, folks. The amount of cheese that they put on a pizza, if you put extra cheese on it and it's already got more than what it is, then it becomes too much, okay? And all you're biting in is cheese. Tomato sauce has very good health benefits. The lycopene in tomatoes helps with the eyes and everything. Okay, and if you're allergic to gluten, go for a gluten-free pizza, okay? Go a little healthy. Put some veggies on your pizza if you don't want just plain cheese. Or take the cheese off and do a low-fat mozzarella. It's not going to taste the same. It's not going to have the same bite, but it's going to be healthy for you if you're the kind of person who is watching their calories and everything. But I say if you're going to go for it, go for it. Just, don't skimp on anything. Have your slice and enjoy it because you'll never get it back. And cheese is universal. Yes, it's magical. And there are so many varieties, each one more sensual than the last. As a meal, Cheese Pizza epitomizes the classic everyday pizza for the everyday person. And what's not to love about Cheese Pizza and National Cheese Pizza Day? And it's a great meal on the go. And while some people love sitting down and taking their time to enjoy a snack, some just simply have a fast-paced lifestyle. For those people always on the go, a slice of that cheese pizza is always a great idea. Plus, you can fold it into a taco-like shape for maximum pleasure. Yeah, for all you John Travolta fans out there from Saturday Night Fever, they got to strut their subs while having 2 cheese pizzas strutting down Bensonhurst. What more could you ask for, right? There you go. Stop screen. Yep. All right, folks. What day is today is done. And when we come back, we're going to be on the 40th anniversary of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe cartoon series and the 77th birthday to former lead singer of Queen, Freddie Mercury. All of that, plus the essay on time management, coming up in the next hour of DMS 3000 News Live. I'm Jason DeCanio, and we will be right back.
Fire!
It's not easy getting so much rich chocolate into a Three Musketeers bar. Fortunately, it's a lot easier to get all that incredible tasting chocolate out of it.
Come on along, I'll take you to the lullaby of Broadway. Hickory and ballyhoo,
the lullaby of Broadway.
And in the center of it all
is the Milford Plaza.
Stay at the Milford Plaza Hotel with cocktail, dinner, and breakfast for $49.50 per person. Discover why we are the lullaby of Broadway.
The Milford Plaza is the lullaby of all Broadway.
MTA interviews 30 seconds, take one.
take the train.
Why have over 1 million people taken the JFK Express?
Because it's faster than taking a taxi.
Because it's very fast, clean, and safe.
And that's the only way to fly.
It's safe.
Oh, I work for United Airlines, and it's quicker than the bus.
So we're taking the train to the plane to save money.
To spend in Paris.
Take the train to the plane.
Take the train to the plane.
The JFK Express, only $4, including shuttle bus. Call 858-7272.
Train to the plane.
I'm Murray Linder. On bagels, I'm an expert. People I'll never understand. I tell them a delicious Linder's bagel has more complex carbohydrates than a lot of cereals people call healthy. 20% more. Well, who wouldn't take a toasty, chewy Linder's bagel over what's in a cereal bowl? But some people still think bowl healthy. Look, if you still think good stuff has to come in a bowl, here you go. Linder's Bagels. Who knew they were this good?
New family members mean new responsibilities and new needs for life and health insurance protection. Why not drop in on your MetLife representative to help you figure out what's right for you and your family? Get Met. It pays.
Benny, the chicken. Throw him the chicken! The chicken, Benny! Please, Benny! The chicken! Throw him the chicken!
But it's Roy Rogers' chicken.
It's chicken month at Roy's. And now get a 2-piece dinner, medium fries, a 15-ounce drink, just $2.99.
I hate machines. Sorry, Rosie.
Why don't we go to the new Sprint store at Radio Shack, George? They have Sprint's easy-to-use products.
And the know-how of Radio Shack.
They even showed Astro how to use his mobile phone.
They could even help you, Mr. J.
Astro has a mobile phone? Well, oh, Rhonda.
The new Sprint store at Radio Shack. You've got questions, we've got answers.
Hello, I'm Joe DeCandia, the owner of Lenny's Columbine Restaurant. I would like to welcome you to Lenny's. We serve you the finest Italian seafood like calamari, baked clams, lobster tail served with shrimps, mussels, and linguine. Our delicious pasta dishes are a mouth-watering treat, and Italian specialty are unforgettable. Visit one of Lenny's nearest you and enjoy a glass of wine in the house.
Welcome back to DMS 3000 News Live. It's episode 49 on this September 5th, 2023. It is Tuesday morning, and the time now is 9:03. We're in our second hour of the program, and I hope you are fantastically following along with us here because we have some fantastic stories to cover in the next hour. Speaking of which, to start us off with, the 40th anniversary of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe cartoon series. Yes, folks, this date, 40 years ago, where were you? Were you watching the first episode of the cartoon series of the toy line you had as a kid growing up? Well, if you did, you got inspired. You probably took out your action figures and played along with the series like we all did. I was about 6 years old, maybe 5. Well, 5.5 actually, because I was going to be turning 6 in October the next month. So I was really excited about seeing the cartoon. And you know, folks, because of the cartoon, they boosted the sales of the toy line by so much. There is so much we can talk about He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. We'd have to have a whole show dedicated to it just to get everybody's opinion of their memories and all of that good stuff. So that's another thought process, and I'm thinking of launching a He-Man and the Masters of the Universe hour in honor of their 40th anniversary. If anybody is interested in co-hosting that with me, let me know, because I think it'll be fun and exciting and interesting to talk about some of the things we grew up with and really get in depth with the Masters of the Universe series, the stuff that they don't even, that you wouldn't even talk about. Yeah, you watch the show, you look at the storylines, but do you really study it as a student of art and history and all the stuff that do you take it on another level? That's what we're looking at. We're going to take it to another level. So, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, often referred to simply as He-Man, American animated television series produced by Filmation, based on Mattel's toy line Masters of the Universe. The show was one of the most popular animated shows of the 1980s. It made its television debut in September 1983 and ran until 1985, consisting of 2 seasons of 65 episodes each. Towards the end of the show's original run, it spawned one feature-length theatrical movie, He-Man and She-Ra, The Secret of the Sword, which served as the introduction for the show's spin-off literal sister series, She-Ra, Princess of Power. Reruns continued to air in syndication until 1988, at which point USA Network bought the rights to the series. USA aired He-Man until September of 1990, and the success of the toy-based show in syndication greatly influenced other animation houses to produce half-hour cartoon commercials and considerably changed the syndicated cartoon market. The franchise has been adapted many times in comic book and comic strip form, and a live-action film was produced in 1987. A rebooted series, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, renamed Masters of the Universe versus the Snake Men during Season 2, released on Toonami on August 16th, 2002. 2 continuation series were released in 2021 for Netflix. One is Masters of the Universe Revelation for an adult audience, and another is a family-oriented animated CGI revival, also titled He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. We all know the synopsis. The series takes place on Eternia, a planet of magic, myth, and fantasy. Its lead character is Prince Adam, the young son of Eternia's rulers, King Randor and Queen Marlena. And whenever Prince Adam holds the sword of power aloft and proclaims, "By the power of Grayskull, I have the power!" He's endowed with fabulous secret powers and transformed into He-Man, the most powerful man in the universe. Together with his close allies, Battle Cat, who undergoes a similar transformation from being Adam's cowardly pet tiger, Krenger, the Sorceress, Teela, Man-at-Arms, and Orko. He-Man uses his powers to defend Eternia from the evil forces of Skeletor. And Skeletor's main goal is to conquer the mysterious fortress of Castle Grayskull, from which He-Man draws his powers. If successful, Skeletor would have enough power to rule all of Eternia and possibly the entire universe. Now, we talked about characters, episodes. You can look that up. But this is the interesting part. Here's the production history. The Mattel Company released the original He-Man action figure in 1982. The franchise backstory was developed by the Filmation Animation Studio. And on December 1st, 1982, Michael Halpern wrote a series Bible. Now, sometime after that, both firms pitched the idea to the ABC network, who turned it down. The resulting series, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, debuted through barter syndication in September of 1983. That's why you saw it on either Channel 5, Channel 9, or Channel 11 if you didn't have a cable box, because the syndicated shows, they didn't get on the networks. They went to the other networks, which is like 5, 9, 11. But everybody, I think, was watching it on WNYW Channel 5, Metro Media 5. So, and it became the first syndicated show to be based on a toy. By 1984, it was seen on 120 U.S. stations and in more than 30 countries. By mid-85, it was airing on 152 stations across the U.S. and was the most popular syndicated program with children 2 to 11 with a 10.9 rating in that demographic. Despite the limited animation techniques that were used to produce the series, He-Man was notable for breaking the boundaries of censorship that had severely restricted the narrative scope of children's TV programming in the 70s. For the first time since Ruby Spears' Thundar the Barbarian, a cartoon series could feature a muscular superhero who was actually allowed to hit people, although he more typically used wrestling-style moves rather than actually punching enemies, though he still could not use his sword often. More often than not, He-Man opted to pick up his opponents and toss them away rather than hit them. The cartoon was controversial in that it was produced in connection with marketing a line of toys. Advertising to children was itself controversial during this period. In the United Kingdom, advertising regulations forbade commercials for He-Man toys to accompany the program itself. In similar fashion to other shows at the time, notably G.I. Joe, an attempt to mitigate the negative publicity generated by this controversy was made by including a life lesson or moral of the story at the end of each episode. This moral was usually directly tied to the action or central theme of that episode. This show was so successful that it spawned a spin-off series, She-Ra, Princess of Power, following the adventures of He-Man's sister, Princess Adora. Mattel's subsequent attempts to relaunch the He-Man toy line also led to the short-lived sequel series, The New Adventures of He-Man, in the early 90s, and an update of the franchise for a contemporary audience in 2002. It is also noted for featuring early script writing work from J. Michael Straczynski, later the creator of Babylon 5, Paul Dini, and Bryn Stevens, both of whom would go on to write acclaimed episodes of Batman the Animated Series, Beast Wars, story editor Larry DiTilio, and David Wise, later the head writer of the TV version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and The Real Ghostbusters. In 2016, a new episode of He-Man was released. The cast, well, they are a cast of wonderful people. And if you watch some of the YouTube Comic-Cons and stuff, Alan Oppenheimer and I think Linda Gary usually go out there and do public appearances. So you'll see a lot of them on the YouTube ones. But John Irwin was Prince Adam and He-Man. He was also Ram Man, Beastman, Faker, Webstor, Whiplash, Granamar, and others. Alan Oppenheimer, of course, was Skeletor, but he did Cringer, Battle-Cat, Man-at-Arms, Merman, Buzz-Off, Roboto, and others. Lou Scheimer, who is credited as Eric Gundin, who created the series, as Orko, King Randor, Stratus, Many-Faces, Mechanic, Zodak, Fisto, Cyclone, Mossman, Lizardman, Trapjaw, Triclops, Cobra Khan, Clawful, Jitsu, Spikor, Too Bad, Modulok, and others. He did a lot of voices, even though he was the man who pretty much created He-Man. Linda Gary as Tila, Evelyn, Queen Marlena, Sorceress of Castle Grayskull, and others. And George DeCenzo, he was also various male guest voices. He was uncredited, but he is the voice of Hordak. He is the voice of Hordak. And Erica Scheimer, that's Lou Scheimer's, I think, daughter. She was also part of some other various female guest voices as well, too. The series' music was composed by Shuki Levy and Haim Saban. The opening theme, snippets of which are used whenever Prince Adam transforms into He-Man and during interludes, is in C. Mixolydian. Mixolydian. Meloxidine. Wow. Interesting. In 1984, a soundtrack album was released in France and Argentina by CBS Records and reissued on compact disc by 13 Bis in 2012, featuring music from the series and an adaptation of A Friend in Need. French release, Diamond Ray of Disappearance. Argentine release, La La Land Records released a 2-disc limited edition soundtrack album in 2015, containing the music content of the 1983 LP and much previously unreleased material. The Latin American Spanish language version also of the show features an actual theme song complete with lyrics unique to this version, with vocals by Chilean singer Memo Aguirre, Mimo, also actually known as Captain Mimo, based on Levy and Saban's original music score. 1986, Brazilian children's music group Trem de Algeria, or Allegra, recorded a song about He-Man as well. Well, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe is considered the most successful animated series ever made by Filmation. The show, as it was created to promote hyper-consumerism in children, left itself vulnerable to criticism. Many parents groups were also critical of what they saw as the show's homoeroticism. And in 2009, IGN ranked the series as the 58th greatest animated show of all time in their top 100 list. They had other names in different languages. And in home media, they had the rights in 1983 to 86 for Columbia Pictures. And of course, nowadays, you can see all of the episodes on YouTube, which, the way I'm looking at it right now, folks, I've already watched about 11 episodes right now, and I'm just going to continually watch them in order and continue to gain knowledge on these episodes. As a kid, we just watched it for the storyline. Now, looking back at it for 40 years later, we're actually studying it. I think there's going to be He-Man historians coming around looking to say, what is this Korodite stuff in his breastplate? What is this made of? What was his shield made of? How heavy is his battle axe? Who was Battle Armor He-Man? All these unanswered questions, but they're going to be answered eventually. The important thing to know is on this very date today, 1983, September 5th, was the date of the first cartoon, and man, you'll never look back, and the rest, of course, is history. Beautiful segment, wonderful article. All right, now a happy 77th birthday to former lead singer of Queen, Freddie Mercury. Yes, Freddie Mercury. Guy had an illustrious career, and I tell you, it's a shame that a guy of his caliber, he died in 1991. So right at the time when the band was going great, he unfortunately passed. He was born on September 5th, 1946, which would make him now 77. But he died on November 24th, 1991 at the age of 45. Can you believe that? He was only 45. He was my age when he died. Wow. Yep. He's a British singer and songwriter who achieved worldwide fame as the lead vocalist and pianist for the rock band Queen, regarded as one of the greatest singers in the history of rock music, and he was known for his flamboyant stage persona and 4-octave vocal range. He defied the conventions of a rock frontman with his theatrical style, influencing the artistic direction of Queen. Born in 1946 in Zanzibar to Parsee Indian parents, Mercury attended English boarding schools in India from the age of 8 and returned to Zanzibar after secondary school. In 1964, his family fled the Zanzibar Revolution, moving to Middlesex, England. Having studied and written music for years, he formed Queen in 1970 with the guitarist Brian May and drummer Roger Taylor. Mercury wrote numerous hits for Queen, including Killer Queen, Bohemian Rhapsody, Somebody to Love, We Are the Champions, Don't Stop Me Now, and Crazy Little Thing Called Love. His charismatic stage performances often saw him interact with the audience, as displayed at the 1985 Live Aid concert. He also led a solo career and was a producer and guest musician for other artists. He was diagnosed with AIDS in 1987, but he continued to record with Queen and posthumously featured on their final album, Made in Heaven, in 1995. But in 1991, the day after announcing his diagnosis, he died from complications of the disease at the age of 45. In 1992, a concert in tribute to him was held at Wembley Stadium in benefit of AIDS awareness. His career with Queen was dramatized in the 2018 biopic Bohemian Rhapsody, And as a member of Queen, Mercury was posthumously inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2001, the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 2003, and the UK Music Hall of Fame in 2004. In 1990, he and the other Queen members were awarded the Brit Award for Outstanding Contribution to British Music, and 1 year after his death, Mercury was awarded it individually. And then in 2005, Queen was awarded an Ivor Novello Award for Outstanding Song Collection from the British Academy of Songwriters, Composers, and Authors. In 2002, Mercury was voted number 58 in the BBC's poll of the 100 Greatest Britons. Wow, that's amazing. What a life. And it's a shame that AIDS took this guy to the grave, unfortunately. And it just goes to show you that he did everything. And now, you know, here we are almost 20 years later, maybe even more than that, are all of the movies and the live action performances of Queen that are being shown on television that you can watch right now to get the biography of the band, the autobiography of Freddie Mercury himself. I mean, Queen, you know, when Queen started all this back in the late 70s and everything, they were still a great band. But today, after Freddie Mercury's passing, they've become a big band with a lot of followers. And for that, folks, what is it about a band member's passing that makes the band more popular than they ever were? Like now they're like the number one band of all time. You know, why is it that his passing, Freddie Mercury's that is, because he was the former lead singer of the band, why is his passing make the band twice or three times as more popular with people than ever before? Why is it that the band wasn't given that much popularity or that much higher standing when he was alive and at the prime of their lives? Was it because of the fact he was diagnosed with AIDS that he got not these honorable mentions? Were they embarrassed about a lot of things? You know, there's some very unanswered questions, folks, as to why Freddie Mercury was overlooked, under-expected. The way he acted, the way he presented himself. Was it something that he intimidated a lot of people? We don't know. But one thing is for certain, that after his passing, more and more of Queen stuff now, today, has been showing up in stores around the world, and more people are buying and trading and selling Queen merchandise than they can possibly do, like that big craze, you know, that comes around when everybody basically just of a band becomes so popular because the lead singer passes, you know? And I have to wonder to myself, all this hype for this, now 20-some years later, what were we waiting for? Why did we wait? And I asked myself that question so many times. I'm thinking, okay, the band's music was fantastic when I first heard it back in the 80s and 90s. And even after Freddie, and even just a year after his passing, they were tributing Freddie Mercury because of his success. But was it because of his diagnosis of AIDS that got people scared? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Not sure. One thing is for certain, though, like I said before, Freddie Mercury will always be the lead singer of Queen. None taken away, and nobody ever will be able to top him ever again. That being said, we'll be right back.
Clint Eastwood and his son Kyle.
Boom.
They're stepping out.
You'd like to go down to Nashville with your old Uncle Red?
Living life on the edge. Passing down a legacy.
Gonna sing at the Grand Ole Opry?
And fighting for a dream.
I don't think you have any shells in that shotgun.
Want to bet? It's an unforgettable network television premiere.
That's the life of a country singer.
Honky Tonk Man, 1 week from tonight.
Why change a good thing? That's what I asked when Oldsmobile redesigned the Delta 88. Oh, then I drove it. Wait till you see how it handles. There's front-wheel drive, too. But inside, plenty of room to stretch. Our Delta 88 is the family car. They didn't forget the family. Some things never change.
Borrow the car, Dad?
Some things never change.
6.9 financing on new Delta 88s. Finance rates will be higher as length of contract increases.
Irons are now Black & Decker. Travel line that goes in style. Keeping fresh press every mile. Black & Decker. Self-clean iron, you can't go wrong. Nothing else will work as long. Irons are now Black & Decker. And here's a line, if you leave it on, it goes beep, beep. And if you don't return, nothing's gonna burn, cause it turns itself off. GE Irons are now Black & Decker. Black & Decker.
SOS introduces a glass cleaner that really works. Glassworks. Glassworks made with vinegar instead of ammonia cleans better than Windex. New Glassworks with vinegar cuts through the toughest greasy smudges faster and easier, so there's less work for you. And everything you clean is shiny and streak-free. New Glassworks made with vinegar cleans with less work. Maybe it works too well.
You're a part of me. You've been a catch-up. Touch the heart of me. You've been a catch-up. Every single day and every way I feel how much you are a part of me.
Your cat's a big part of your life, so make Purina Cat Chow brand cat food part of his life. It's all the nutrition cats need to help them live healthier, happier lives. What's more, veterinarians recommend it most. Purina Cat Chow, part of a healthier, happier life.
Superman 3. Tonight's ABC Sunday night movie will continue in a moment.
2 years ago, ABC brought you one of television's most highly acclaimed dramas.
Daddy, he makes me have sex with them.
On Monday, the Emmy-winning Something About Amelia, parental discretion advised. And now, from the same producers, an extraordinary new movie for the whole family.
Why does God hate me?
If ever there was a hero, it was Alex. The more her prospects dimmed, the finer and stronger she became. Alex, the life of a child. Wednesday.
TV5 Eyewitness News Brief is sponsored by Radio 11, WWWE.
I'm Roger Morris. Severe weather has hit parts of Ohio tonight. Tornado warnings have just been lifted in the Crawford and Richland County areas. We do have reports of some damage around Marysville in central Ohio. American journalists got their first close-up look at some of the damage done to Libyan military bases during last week's raid by U.S. bombers. The targets were heavily damaged, but cameras were not allowed inside the area thought to be the hardest hit. Now this.
All right, welcome back to DMS 3000 News Live. It's episode 49 here on this Tuesday, September 5th, 2023. And we are coming down to the bottom of the hour, and it's 9:30 right now. So we're, giving you the topics at hand here. And we're right on schedule, folks, even though we touched a little bit about Freddie Mercury's birthday and the 40th anniversary of He-Man, both 15-minute segments. So we now have time for the essay on time management. So this one is, I don't know if there's is there an author on this one? Let me see. I don't think so. Doesn't look like there is, but if there is one, we will definitely cite that author. But this is from javapoint.com, the time management essay, and goes like this. Are you running out of time? Are you wasting your time? And do you feel like you are unable to use your time to yield maximum output? The word time might seem like a simple four-letter minuscule word, but it is something more complex and complicated than it seems. Average human life expectancy is around 72 years, according to United Nations. 72 years is an insignificantly small number, so it is important for us to acknowledge that time management is very predominant. Time is something of incalculable worth. It is like a precious gift to us. And what exactly is time management? It is the procedure of organizing and arranging your work and sleep in order to save maximum time. Time management is a useful tool to increase efficiency, productivity, work rate, and capacity. Every person on this earth gets the same amount of time, which is 24 hours in a day. But how come everyone is not productive? The simple answer is time management. All the high flyers have one thing in common. They all manage their time exceptionally well. And every single person on this earth has the potential to manage their time and yield the maximal output of a day, or the maximum output out of a day. Time is very limited, and someone oppositely said, time and tide wait for none. Time management skills are not only used by individuals, but also by multinational companies. It plays a foremost character, not only in professional, but also in personal life. So let's look at the benefits of time management. You reduce your stress. You improve your self-esteem. You reach your goals. And you feel more confident in your ability to get things done. You avoid meltdowns and sickness. You achieve balance in your life, and you are more productive. So time management makes a good person organized. For the good management of time, people prefer to keep their workplaces and study zones organized, neat, and clean. People learn to be more arranged and organized as a result of time management. And it makes the person more expeditious. To make sufficient use of time, people try to be more effective and expeditious. Individuals make a to-do list at the beginning of the day in the sequence of their importance. And this type of plan gives individuals a sense of direction during the whole day. As a result of time management, individuals complete the task within minimal time, which gives them more confidence to move forward in life and achieve their goals. And when a person completes his or her work in a stipulated time frame, it's looked upon and up to by others, and is always the focal point of attraction everywhere. And time management can take us to the pinnacle of success and give us wealth. Better time management results in effective work, which in turn gives us recognition and respect in our workplace. And it is always seen that pending work increases our stress and anxiety, but by using time management skills, we can complete our work in a short period of time and get rid of stress, anxiety in our professional or personal life. Time management helps us to map out our ambition in life. And what are your time management skills? Well, you set time limits for the tasks, you keep everything organized, you create time management goals, and you keep everything organized. Yeah, a repeat of the same thing. So, have a to-do list. It's one of the most effective and productive skills, and we should jot down the important work during the inception of a day in a sequence of their urgency, and then try to complete each work in that list. It's also crucial for a person to know what work to prioritize first. High priority work must be written on the top of the to-do list, followed by the work which is less important. And one should set goals and prioritize them. Further, these goals should be broken down into smaller tasks because it is easy to assign priority to individual tasks. We may also set deadlines for them, which will make it easier to prioritize them. Various methods are followed to prioritize. The ABCD analysts. Yes, this type of technique is already in use in business companies, and this technique helps in categorizing a large amount of data into groups. This includes tasks that are most urgent and important. Also includes tasks that are important but not urgent. They all include that they are not very important but are urgent. And it also includes tasks that are neither urgent nor important. You also have the Eisenhower method. Dwight Eisenhower gave the quote, "I have two kinds of problems, the urgent and the important. The urgent are not important, and important ones are never urgent. Based on his quotes, Eisenhower's method was invented, and it is based on the principle of urgency and importance. In this method, tasks are first evaluated using the criteria like urgent and not urgent. Okay, folks, I'm back. Sorry about that. Computer crashed. As always, it's going to crash once a week, at least on this program. But I tell you, the ad blockers is what's killing it sometimes. And that'll do it. Because at that point, you think to yourself, ad blockers are supposed to keep the computer cool. And there's always an ad blocker somewhere. Okay. So, we were looking at the Eisenhower method from javapoint.com on time management essay. So I want to get back to that. Thank you for being patient. So let's continue on here. So Dwight Eisenhower gave the quote, "I have two kinds of problems." Okay. The urgent and the important. The urgent are not important, and the important ones are never urgent. And based on his quotes, Eisenhower's method was invented and is based on the principle of urgency and importance. In this method, tasks are first evaluated using the criteria like urgent and not urgent, important and not important. Then these tasks are kept in quadrants. Quadrants are like tasks that are placed in the first quadrant, which are important / urgent, and they are completed immediately. Example, deadlines. Next are the tasks that are not urgent but important, and we give an end date to them and complete them accordingly. Example, relationships. The third quadrant represents tasks that are not important but urgent, examples which are friendly meetings or interruptions, etc. And the fourth is the quadrant which has activities that are neither important nor urgent, so they are dropped. So you also set achievable targets, and we should set a target that is realistic. Each person knows his capability and capacity, and one should not overburden himself or herself, as it can result in stress and dwindle our productivity. Set a timer. To keep track of time, one should inculcate the habit of setting a timer for a more efficacious and fruitful day. And it helps to enhance our productivity by being more concentrated and completing a task within the given time frame. And do not include time for leisure activities. Many studies show that working for too long makes our brain stagnant. However, if a person takes frequent breaks during his or her work time, it becomes more productive and effective. And during these breaks, we should socialize more, perform some physical activity, and attend some personal calls to complete our tasks more efficiently. Along with hard work, one should also focus on smart work, which can be done by eliminating things that are not a priority and can be dropped. Many people waste their time on unimportant things, which is a bad idea. And we all know living in a cocoon is way easier than facing the real world. Everybody loves to be in their safe zone, which makes it impossible to eliminate the things which are not important. So in order to do this, one should divide their tasks into different groups. Learn about different methods which help in increasing our productivity. And due to the differences in culture in different countries, their definition of time is different too, as are their time management skills. If you take the example of America, with most northern European countries such as Germany, Switzerland, and England, they follow the linear perception of time, which means conceiving time as flowing from one moment to the next in a linear fashion. These cultures avoid wasting their time, and they place a large value on productive time management. So you might also want to have a linear perception of time that correlates with being more monochronic, which basically means doing one thing at a time. In general, if we follow these types of ideologies, it will help us to maintain more focus for a longer duration of time, which will lead to productive time management. Other than this, there's this other culture too, which follows a polychronic or multi-active time view, which means doing multiple things at one time. Most Southern European countries like Spain, Portugal, and Italy follow these ideas. But the main purpose of following this is it brings happiness, as you can complete more tasks in less time. These countries believe in synergy, and they choose creativity over efficiency. So the last kind of culture is the cyclical view of time. In these types of cultures, time is neither considered linear nor related. And as we all know, days, months, years, and different environmental seasons take place in a cyclic manner. For example, they keep repeating themselves regularly like a cycle. And in these types of cultures, time is not wasted because it will always come back later. Hence, they think they have an unlimited amount of time. These theories can basically be found in Asian countries like Japan and China, and they take time before actually doing the work. They think about the decisions and the impact they will have before implementing them. And there you have it, friends. A fantastic essay on time management. Interesting and always informative. You can look at more essays from javapoint.com, and there's a whole array of topics. And of course, we will also have those topics for you on future episodes of DMS 3000 News Live, coming soon to a theater near you. Maybe, right? One thing today, somebody said, Mike Lewis says he wants wings today. So I asked in return, I said, how do you like your wings? Well, wings is good on any other given day, folks, but today's National Cheese Pizza Day, and later on in the day, I'm going to get me a cheese pizza pie and share it with my family. So I think that'd be a great thing to have. A couple of slices, or just enjoy a cheese pizza with the ones you love, you know? So with that, now we finish up on the editorial. Well, folks, it's come down to the last 15 minutes of the program, and you know where I'm going with it if you don't already know where I'm going with it. But today's editorial really focuses on the fall lineup of our TV network schedule, and I talked a little bit about it yesterday, but I want to go into more depth because I know yesterday was Labor Day and we were just getting off to a fantastic start. Looking at all the views of all of the shows that premiered on the Monday lineup, we have a fantastic lineup of shows. They look fantastic. They look great. They look beautiful, handsome, whatever the case. The views speak for themselves. They go in a great order, which you can watch. David has put together when the premieres are coming, what times. If you want to get notified, hit that notify me button over there, and that'll notify you. It'll send you an email and tell you when the show is coming up. So that way you have an idea, And then also, too, if you don't have an email, if David doesn't have your email address, because we're going to be emailing everybody a copy of the fall schedule. It's a finalized schedule, and it is what we're going to be going by. And of course, it'll change, just like a schedule change. Nothing is ever permanent in life, folks. If we had a permanent schedule that was actually fixed, ready to go, we'd be fine. But in this case, things are going to change, and every time that schedule changes, we'll send out an updated version of the schedule, so that way you always have an updated version of when things are on, when we're recording, so that way we can keep in touch with you. The important thing about running a YouTube channel, and I think you already know this, is communication. Communication to your fans, communication to your staff, if you have a staff of people working under you, and the lines of communication. How you get that information to everybody is important, whether it's email, direct message, instant message, group page, or YouTube Shorts for that matter. That's something that you really have to kind of figure out what works best for your particular situation. I know that sometimes email can be slow, but I also know that sometimes the United States Post Office can be slow as well, even though they have the sophisticated technological equipment to handle it. There's still a possibility of mail not getting to where it needs to go. And I'm thinking to myself, with all the technology we have, and with everything breakthroughs and the discoveries that we will come across with, how is it that a technologically advanced country like ourselves, the United States, cannot get it right? This is something that's been bugging me for the last 20 years, trying to understand, because everybody thinks, well, I can invent something like this chip clip here, which basically, what this is. This is something that basically holds the chip bag together or something to seal it so that way bugs don't get into it. If we can invent this simple device to keep our foods fresh, how is it we cannot be able to invent something that'll cure cancer, something that will cure an illness or a disease or something? Well, the bottom line of that that answer is we do have what it takes to kill those diseases and permanently wipe them out. The problem is, and again, this is debatable, but again, this is an editorial. The problem is that a lot of the pharmaceutical companies do not want to distribute the cure for the specific disease because it's a money-hungry operation. That's right, folks. The very things you do to alleviate your pain and your suffering here on the earth, there's so much available to you that never advertised. It's got low advertising for that matter, but always you see it in stores and you say, I wish I could have those stackable paper plates for my garden. And wouldn't you know it, you wind up going to steal somebody's paper plates. And do you really think it's worth going to jail over a stack of 90 plates, styrofoam for that matter? I don't think so. But this is what happens in our society. We wonder to ourselves, how in the world can they make all these great products? How in the world can they make something so advanced like a cure for, the common cold so we don't get sick? And we don't have access to this stuff, or it costs us an arm and a leg. It's because lobbyists and those on the Federal Trade Commission and all of the people in the government think that these products, they do the job, and that if we have access to them, we will never have to worry about buying any of the products from the pharmacies ever again, because we won't need to be on pills the rest of our lives. We'll be able to go out there and enjoy our life pain-free or cold-free or fever-free or whatever the case may be. And I don't think that the Democrats understand that this is the lifeblood of capitalism. When you have people who are not sick, who are not on their deathbeds, who can go out and say, I'm going to work, I'll see you later. They put their jacket on, they button it up, and they take off. Or you get that sometimes from the people who basically take a vacation every week because they can afford to. And they say to themselves, I'm here again, but I feel great. And we all should feel great. But the problem is we're taking medications that make us much more sicker than we need to be. And we need to get off those and do the research ourselves. You know, they say if you really want to live a long time, do the research yourself. If you want to see what is available to you and what you can get your hands on, well, that's great. But remember, there's always a price to pay for research. There's always a price to pay for a breakthrough in the medical field. And there is always a price to pay for the perishable stuff that can go down your throat and kill you. So again, it comes back to, do we continue to go out there and do the research and fight for our health? And the answer to the question is yes. Every day we should do that. And not because our parents tell us to do that, or not because our dog tells us to do it, and not because the Lord Almighty himself tells us to do it, but we have a brain in our conscious head here, folks, that tells us that we should be taking care of our body spiritually, mentally, and emotionally, and that whoever's around us needs to be emotionally on the same level with us. Because in the long run, we're going to have a fantastic relationship with that person as we get to know them more, whatever the case may be. But I do know for a fact that by taking the time to do the research, and again, time management has a lot to do with that, following all the steps and doing everything we can to make sure that we get the most nutritious foods put into our bodies. And yes, we do cheat every once in a while, especially on the holidays, like Labor Day. We have to have our desserts. But there is a time and a place, and moderation is the key. But here's an interesting diet that I did, and I find it very interesting too. One of the first things I did was I gave up soda, all carbonated beverages. And I gave it up because I figured, if I can't have a regular soda without gaining weight, I'm not going to have a regular soda. Or a soda, anything that's in it. Because the body just breaks down and I get terrible pains in my joints. So I don't deal with soda no more. And then comes the fruits and vegetables. Now we all are kind of like throwing our hands up and saying to ourselves, oh no, not again. He's going to force us to eat carrots and beans and sprouts and all this nicky-necky stuff. And the bottom line is, folks, that yeah, we are a country that's more of a meat and potatoes kind of country where we got to have our steak, we got to have our baked potato, and we don't really have a side dish to kind of complement both of those, which is usually vegetable melody or some other kind of vegetable that's been cooking for a long time in a pot, and the steam's just coming out and it's not doing anything but making us more sicker. So in this case, we have to look at it like, I don't know. But I can tell you this. You go into that treatment center, wherever you're going. You know. And then you look and you see what you can find. You'll be able to get the things you need taken care of. Importantly, and the final thing I want to say before we go is always remember to take care of yourself. Your body is your temple. Do what it asks of you. Listen to it. Take care of it every day. And if you have to cheat a little bit to get ahead, do it, but don't make it a habit that puts on weight. Or if you're trying to lower your blood pressure, do it naturally. Look at the stuff out there that's available to you and take advantage of what you can afford to buy in this crazy world of market shopping. That's going to do it for us today on the DMS 3000 News Live. And I am Jason DeCanio for this edition. Put it up here. There it is. And when we come back next week, we'll see you then. Hopefully this studio stays up where it belongs. In the meantime, don't forget, Cole Johnson and Brian Snow, they're coming up in about 4 minutes, and they're going to talk all kinds of good sports, and we'll be on there at 11 o'clock talking about baseball. We have our game show lineup today, including Blockbusters season premiere, season 2, episode 1. Should be fun. And don't forget to catch me at 3 o'clock today for a new show called Retro Games. It's kind of like the sister show to Retro Toys and Games. My first topic of Retro Games today is a board game I played for a long time and still like to play today. And we're going to be looking at the history of Scrabble, a well-known game that's been played for over 70-some years. And the history goes back as far as it does. So we'll look at that in the hour program. We'll cover a lot of things in that hour program. It'll be a first debut show here on the David 3000 Network. From all of us here at the David 3000 Network, I'm Jason DeCanio, telling you and hoping that you will be honest, you will be real, and you will keep it simple, stupid. Kiss. We will see you next week. Bye for now. Oops. I hit the wrong button. Whoopsie. Don't worry, folks. Be honest, be real, and keep it simple, stupid. Kiss. Well, I'll see you next week. Bye for now.
Don't forget to subscribe to the David Madison Network for great more content like this one.